Hey, I'm Matt Hudgins, and he's Dave Mulvaney, and this is Profitability MD. Dave, how you doing, buddy?
Matt, I am doing fantastic. Welcome back from vacation.
Welcome back to the real world. I'm actually in my office as opposed to a lounge chair or a beach chair or any of those things, sweating it out.
All right. Good to have you back.
Good to be here. All right. So during my vacations, I listen to all kinds of podcasts and storylines. So you and I were talking a little offline. So I wanted to go down this and explore this today, which was how great marketing works. What we learned from Lee Iacocca. So Lee Iacocca was the late Lee Iacocca. He had passed away during my vacation time over the last couple of weeks, and some stories came out about what a great marketing guy he was and all the kind of things that he's done. And so wanted to draw those parallels and what our guys can learn from those marketing ability that he had.
Well, so I years ago read the book Iacocca, which was, it had to be, like 450 pages, one of those books that we don't have 450, nobody writes 450 page books.
No, I listen to podcasts at 2 times speed. Come on. Yeah, I don't have that kind of time.
But nobody writes in the nonfiction category 450 page books anymore. There's a few autobiographies maybe, but that being said, there was enough to be said about Iacocca and what he did in the auto industry. Let's just put it this way. Anywhere he went in the auto industry, when he was at the helm,
he was successful.
He was successful. And it boils down to he knew his clients and what they wanted. Maybe more so like when we go all the way back to Henry Ford. Again, Henry Ford knew that his clients wanted basically a faster horse. But he built them an automobile that everyone could eventually afford.
Right.
Whereas Iacocca knew everybody wanted a sports car, right? And so
that's what I was going to say. Let's get a quick overview of like the Iacocca stories, and we can come back and fill them in. And so I forget where I heard this on one of the podcasts. I don't know where. But so Lee Iacocca was at Ford at the time of the Ford Mustang, right? So Mustang was a super popular muscle car, if we want to call that. He said they didn't call it that at the time, but a muscle car, very popular with the baby boomers, right? They were all in their 18 to early 20s at that time.
Then he moved over. Would cost $3,000, by the way.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? My dad had like a Firebird, a '68 Firebird that was like $3,000 or $2,800 or something like that. It's amazing.
I'd love to have that '68 Firebird. But
oh, he's got it totally restored. My dad's a car guy and a motorcycle guy, so he's got all that stuff done. And then he goes over to Chrysler, and I think it's the late '70s, maybe early '80s, and he has the K car. But that K car, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of that, but was also meant for those same baby boomers, except now instead of being 18 to early 20s, they're kind of early 30s, right? And then also at Chrysler, which is probably the mid '80s, I think '85ish, he kind of invented the minivan.
The Dodge Caravan was
the Dodge Caravan,
number one selling automobile in the United States.
And that was the same audience. So he sold 3 different cars, the Mustang when they're kids, and then the K car when they become responsible adults, and then the minivan when they have adults with families.
All right, there's so many lessons.
I know, that's what I was saying. That's the outline. So we can start on that.
You could start with the Ford Mustang since that was the first one. But one thing I want to say about Iacocca, if you consider the brilliance of a guy running car companies, to say, car companies are constantly reinventing themselves. We got to have this car. We got to have all these different models. Okay, GM, it's what basically bankrupted GM is because they had too many models. Instead, Lee Iacocca would come on the scene and say, we're going to be really good at one car, and we're going to sell that to everybody. And that's what he did. He did that at Ford with the Mustang. It doesn't mean they didn't have other.
Right. But that was the hot item, right?
But he said, we're gonna sell this Ford Mustang, and he did something that no other car manufacturer was technically considering. GM followed suit in the early 1970s, but he put a straight six-cylinder engine in the Ford Mustang to make it more affordable. Now, at that time, I don't know if that made a $500 difference or $1,000. I don't know the price, but it made it more affordable because not everybody who wanted a Mustang wanted to go fast. Some people just wanted to look like I've got a Mustang.
Right. Give them what they want, not what they need.
Yeah. So because, not everybody, grandma didn't want to go fast, but she wanted a Mustang.
But she wanted a cool car. That's right.
Like a grandma, right? Because we're you're 49, I'm 50, and we don't feel like grandparents yet, and I'm not. But I mean, at the same time, in a few 5 years, I could be a grandparent, and I would still want to drive a sports car. Is my point.
Right. And that's exactly right. But he rode the wave. I guess is what I'm saying. It's call about know your clientele. He basically rode the baby boomer wave and sold several different items to the same people, right? And so for me, one of the lessons would be kind of cross-selling or upselling or downselling, right? Which is, those terms we talked about, the 5 ways to grow your business and increase the leads and conversions and transactions, more transactions with existing clients. And that's almost Lee Iacocca in my mind, which is he sold the same people, the baby boomers, 3 different types of cars. Right? So could you sell to your customer, cross-sell? You're a dentist and you're going to sell orthodontics as well as cavities, as well as whitening your teeth, right? What else can we sell to the same clientele?
And here's okay, so I released a video this morning and a new coaching program. And during the coaching program, which is free, it's you can get it davidmulvaney.com, but it's what I call baseball copywriting, how to use the baseball diamond as a template to create an ideal marketing message.
Okay.
On second base, I talk about how trust is such a catalyst to selling. And the reason I use the baseball diamond is because you can go around it again and again. If there's anybody who went around the baseball diamond multiple times, it's Lee Iacocca. And he took the same customer around the same lap. Now, what's amazing is he moved from Ford to Chrysler. But because people trusted him, they were willing to go down around that lap with him with a new automobile. And what's important to understand is the Chrysler K car was a piece of crap, and the entire industry knew it. But he said, okay, in order for us to sell this piece of junk, we'll give a 10-year warranty. It came out the longest warranty ever on a car at that period of time. And the people who trusted Lee, they bought. And so trust is what he had with those baby boomers. He took one industry. He said, I'm going to make these people trust me. And I'm not going to make them trust me. I'm going to create our marketing in such a way that they will trust us. And we're going to keep their trust because we're not going to crap on them. We're going to take care of them.
Right.
He did it with the Mustang. He made a transition. And then he moved into minivans. And again, with a 10-year warranty, because everything on that minivan would break. The door handles would break. The window cranks. Everything would break on that automobile. But yet he still sold more than – that was the number one selling vehicle in the United States was that stupid minivan.
Right. Exactly right.
He ruined the industry.
He ruined the industry. That's the most practical car ever. Come on, I'm a minivan fan. Don't be banging.
I got to tell you, when my wife and we had my son, I swore, I said, I will never buy a minivan. Now, we did buy SUVs, which was that was for people like me who weren't going to drive the minivan.
Right. So my wife's the exact same way. So we had, the shorter Tahoe thing, and then we got the big old Suburban for years and years. And finally, we ended up getting the minivan because we do a bunch of travel for the travel soccer and all that kind of stuff. And because it, almost like you just said with the Mustang, it's a 6-cylinder. The gas mileage was like half as much. I spent like 50% less in gas.
Yeah.
So we switched to the damn minivan. I love the minivan.
And the minivan was probably a better ride.
It was a better ride. It was quicker, smoother. Everything was awesome. But
yeah. Anyway. I get it. I never succumbed to the minivan. Doesn't mean I won't later in life when I'm a grandpa, but
I have seen that, by the way. I have clients that have bought minivans as grandparents. They got the sedan with the, when they're going to dinner with their spouse, but they need the minivan to drive around the grandkids. I've literally have seen that. They thought they were done. They thought they were going to have a little sports vehicle. But I digress. What I was going to say though about Iacocca and knowing I had
You broke
lunch.
up there for a minute. Hang on just 1 second. All right, go ahead.
Yep.
Say that again.
All right. About Iacocca and knowing his audience was thinking about a roofer. I had a meeting this morning with a roofer, right? And so you can do the same thing. I'm just using roofer as an example, where there are two ways to view that. How do you get more business when you're a roofer? It can be one, you've got clients in an existing neighborhood. I'm going to, I've seen that where I've done a campaign with one of my roofer guys where you send postcards in the neighborhood. Hey, we're working on the neighbor, we're doing the roof of one of your neighbors. Love to come by and give you an estimate and see if there's any damage on your roof and see what we can do, right? So you're working the neighborhood because you're already in there because of the trust, right? There's an implied trust like you just talked about in the diamond because I'm in your neighborhood and I'm working with one of your neighbors. Inherently, I have trust, so why not build upon that trust and work the same neighborhood, right? Knowing the customer base, right? Knowing that clientele. You could also do it where it's the age of the home. I think we talked about that before, maybe with air conditioning, HVAC guys, right? Yeah. Which is, roofs go bad in 20 years, right? So I've got some clients over here and this neighborhood is 20 years old. What other neighborhoods do I have that's 20 years old that are nearby? And we work that neighborhood. Hey, your house is probably about 20 years old. It's probably about time for a roof. We're doing some roofs in your neighborhood or your neighborhood next door. Can we come by and offer you whatever, the evaluation? And we'll talk about whatever the lead magnet would be for that. But my point is there's your target audience, right? It's people with 20-year-old houses or it's neighbors of existing clients. Let's build upon that.
Let's hold on the roofer for a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use what you just talked about is using the trust of others. Now,
yes.
Eugene Schwartz, in his book, Breakthrough Copywriting, he talks about how the really good copywriters who would write for the Wall Street Journal had a very, very unique font back in like in the day. They still do. But the good copywriters would make their font identical so that their ads didn't look like an ad. People actually thought they were reading an article. Now, if I'm a roofer and I've been doing roofs in a specific neighborhood, let's say there's 500 or 600 houses in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm going to get authorization to take a picture of one of the houses in the neighborhood, especially if it's in the front of the neighborhood and everybody sees that house.
Right.
I'm going to use my mailer because I'm going to create artificial trust through my advertising by using a picture of the neighbor that they all see the house. I reckon that's Steve's house.
Right.
And so people associate that trust in their brain to Steve, who lives in the neighborhood, and you can get more business that way because people like to feel comfortable, and that creates trust. I do know the roofing business in Atlanta is very, very competitive.
Yes.
Because there's been so many hailstorms. My brother-in-law is in the roofing business in Atlanta, and his response has been about 80% of the roofs in Atlanta are new in the past 7 years. That's because of hail.
Because of hail. We get these hailstorms, yes.
You got hailstorms, you got pretty good marketing companies too. They're getting in and getting everybody a free roof, or not free, but deductible.
Oh, yeah, deductible out of the insurance. That's a perfect marketing right there. Hey, we just had a hailstorm. Let's check your roof for hail damage. That's a perfect marketing strategy right there.
They're hail chasers is almost all roofers are. They are actually storm chasers.
Storm chasers. But this also leads, you talk about the trust. So in that example, we're the trust of your neighbor in that example for the roofer. And I'll stick with the roofer just because, but we've learned this before for the HVAC guy, right? So now you did the roof and you did a good job. You've got some trust, right? Obviously, right? We talk about asking for referrals, anybody else that needs a roof. But even different than that, or better that I think we talked about when I redid my house over here, which was like a client survey. What did we do well? What can we do better? By the way, are you planning on any other projects, any other home renovation, landscaping, bathrooms, kitchens, basements, landscaping, pools? And now you've got a referral network, right? Where now you have the opportunity to cross-sell to your same customer a different product, right? You don't have to be the pool guy. You don't have to be the landscaper, but you have the resource. You have the trust. You did a good job with the roof. They trust you. They like you. And probably anybody you refer to them, they will use because they like you and trust you. And now you've got a referral network because you asked the question, right? You asked for the survey, hey, how do we do? What other projects got planned? And now you give those referrals to your network. Maybe get a cut of it. We talked about a 10 to 15% cut because you're doing marketing for them. But more importantly, the pool guy loves you. He's looking for opportunities for you to get a new roof, right? The landscaping guy loves you. So he's doing the same thing to his clients to look for new roofing opportunities for you. Yeah. So again, now that way you're building on your own trust. You mentioned second base, and I said, well, we're going to use other people's trust in the neighborhood because I'm already here, right? Yeah. But then once I did a good job, I could use my own trust. Hey, you like me and trust me. What else you got you're planning on doing? And I probably have a referral that can help you out. And I can use my own trust for my referral network.
And that trust is again, that's sharing the trust, because if I'll give you, for instance, my daughter was rear-ended on I-4, so we're looking for a car for her, and I've got some friends in the business, and what I like is I'm going to let my daughter buy her replacement car because she's going to get insurance money for it, and but I have friends in the car business, and I've called them, and all of them have said the same thing. Even if you don't buy a car from me, bring it to me and let me check it out before you sign on the dotted line. I just want to make sure your daughter gets a good car. Now,
right? Do
you think the odds, if I'm going to go buy a used car, like a higher price, because most of my friends don't sell cars at the price point she's looking for, but that being said, if it was a higher priced car, I'd go to them, right? Because they're
right. Exactly right.
Make sure your daughter doesn't get a piece of junk, a lemon. And so that's trust. And here's the thing, we're talking about roofers or HVAC contractors. What really builds trust is when you've got the job now, and are you going to throw everything to the wayside and let your subcontractors destroy that trust because you're not going to watch them, you're not going to make sure the job gets done right? I think so many people miss it on the fulfillment stage, that you can lose all the trust on the fulfillment stage, or even after the fulfillment stage when the client has a warranty issue or a non-warranty issue, but yet you warranty it. Those are all areas where you could lose the trust and never get it back again.
Right. Well, it's funny you said it, because it brings to mind when I was renovating my house. We bought this house, and I call that the during unit, like when you're delivering the service, right? So we had a painter that was doing the outside, and ended up, we hired him to do some inside paint as well. It had subcontractors, right? But they had a liaison that came by every single day. How are you doing today? You notice any issues? What can we do? And it was maybe a 10-minute little stop by, right? And it might be, okay, Mr. Matt, take some piece of tape and put it by some of your concerned areas, right? But they came by almost every day, right? And that's because they're maintaining my trust, right? They didn't let the subcontractor ruin it, right? They didn't argue with me like, oh, that's just normal wear and tear when the paint settles, blah, 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 blah. No, they were just like, giving me a great client experience. So, of course, I'm going to recommend them. I got a meeting with a dentist tomorrow, and we're talking about that exact same thing. The client experience, every opportunity of your staff to interact with the clients is a chance to wow the client. So when you go to a dental office, wouldn't it be great if the reception was really nice and pleasant, right? Pleasant music, pleasant sounds, the receptionist is pleasant, right? Wouldn't it be really neat if they all knew my name? Would it be really neat if they had cookies, warm chocolate chip cookies, or they're dentists, so probably not. That's going to be in your teeth. But you can wow, right? Every interaction from the front desk to the hygienist to the dentist himself is a chance to wow the client. And the better the experience, the better the referrals, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the biggest feared professions too.
Great point.
Right. is a lot of people don't want to go to the dentist because, well, first of all, it's the unknown. If I go to the dentist, am I going to have 15 cavities and he's going to tell me it's going to be $90,000? I mean, right. That's the fear of the unknown. And so I think the client experience in a dental office is way more important than probably anything else. And the client experience probably begins before they walk in the door.
Absolutely.
And long after they walked out the door. And, you know, it might be music. I would think how clean your ceiling tiles are make a difference.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a dentist about this. I'm like, look, the light above your head, don't even, I mean, you got a glove on and
Right.
you put it in my mouth and you're going to grab that light. And I don't even know if you ever cleaned that light in 100 years. They don't think like a patient. And it's
Right.
And so how do you think like a patient? Well, you talk to your patients. You say, hey, I need to know what are things that I could do in my office that make me better, make your experience better. Tell me your fears. What are you afraid of to come see? Because dentists don't want to talk about the fears people have. But you really should find out what fears your clients are facing.
Well, and it relates to, again, you're giving them the wow experience, right? So back to the phone when they call to make an appointment or call to change an appointment. Hopefully that's a pleasant interaction. When a new patient calls, hopefully that's a pleasant interaction. And so we talk about systems and processes that, you know, here's how you answer the phone, here's what you say, here's how you say it. Again, not a script, but just, you know, you and I would call it common courtesy, right? But it's how to wow the client. But imagine that, what they call case acceptance, and the likelihood that, hey, Dave, you got a crown that needs fixing, it's cracked. You're going to believe me and like me and trust me because of the experience. Just like the painter who gave me a great experience when I was looking for an inside painter, right? Yeah. I know, like, and trust me, and he gave me a great experience. Who do you think I'm going to think about painting inside? He's top of the list, right? Because of the great experience during the process, right? Yeah. So it leads to greater acceptance. They call it in dentistry, acceptance of treatment. You know, oh, you need a crown fixed. Greater acceptance of greater upsell. Hey, you might want to think about getting your teeth white. You're a number 7. I can get you to a 9. Oh, really, doc? Great, right? They're gonna be more receptive to your cross selling and upselling and patient acceptance.
Your clients are when they have that trust and they have the ability to pay, and you offer them something. A lot of people don't like to say no to an offer when there's trust there. So
good point.
They will say, okay. I mean, you know, okay is they're closed, right? I mean, you closed the sale. That may not be the exact response you wanted, but that's what you're doing. You have trust. You move to an offer. And I believe, like, you can make an offer, different offers, and a lot of times you have to re-earn the trust on a different level if the offer gets more expensive, because, like, if you come in for a crown, you get a cracked crown,
right?
And he's going to tell you about having like 5 of your front teeth replaced with implants, and it's going to be $10,000. Well, I just need a crown today.
Right, exactly. That was too much. That was too aggressive.
Yeah,
right.
If you speak to them over the next, if he speaks to you for a year and a half about the pain you're having on your front teeth or whatever, and that we've got these implants, and let me show you how they work, and I'm gonna let you, you know, see this, how it all goes together, and it can all be done in a day, and all. I mean, they got all. I mean, I don't know how all that works, but and then before long, you start preparing mentally, like, boy, that sounds like a good procedure. Maybe I'd like to find out how much it is, and he tells you how much it is, and but he's very low key on it. You know, that might be something you want to think about over time. Or we've got a 2 years same as cash on that procedure.
Right, exactly right. We were talking about this. Just reminded me, I have a veterinarian as one of my clients, and we talked about that, where you're setting up Persuasion. Remember we talked about that book before? I can't think of the guy's name. Cialdini, right. And Persuasion, you can set that up. So let's say you're running, this is a vet, and running teeth whitening, right? The teeth whitening for dogs, which is just like teeth whitening for people. So it's the same concept, which is, you know, the receptionist mentions teeth whitening. The technician who takes the dog back mentions the teeth whitening. The junior vet who does some of the vitals mentions the teeth whitening. So then when the vet comes in and mentions the teeth whitening, they're much more receptive because we kind of planted the seed and I didn't have to sell you on it. I just, hey, it was teeth whitening month or whatever, for an extra.
The TV in the lobby should have
The TV in the lobby can be playing it. That's what I'm saying, where you've set them up.
Not to mention the postcard you got 6 weeks before you were in there that said, "Have you seen my teeth?" And it's just got a picture of a dog with really white teeth. I mean, all of those things.
Those things are being the cheese, right? Because you persuaded them and you're not kind of convinced them of anything. They've already been thinking, hey, yeah, my dog's got bad breath. Let's brush his teeth. Right?
So, we've always said everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold. Marketing is everything you do until somebody buys. So meaning you never have to sell if you're marketing, like we just laid out. Okay, we went from a postcard to the TV in the lobby, to the receptionist, to the junior
technician, and then junior vet. Yeah.
To the vet. A lot of things happened there that could have been very low key, but they were marketing messages that's going to bring the client to a desired response at a time it's right for the client.
Right.
That might be when she's right there in front of the vet with Snoopy, I mean.
Right.
So that's a good time to bring them to a response. Are you ready for the teeth cleaning with your dog? Well, yeah, I think so.
I've been thinking about it all day or all month.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't thinking about it, but because of the dog's breath, yeah, I'm willing to discuss the teeth cleaning. So
now we get into subliminal marketing and all this stuff.
Yeah, so we went from Lee Iacocca to dog's breath.
That's exactly right. But I got to tell you, I mean, it's the lessons learned from Lee Iacocca, like we talked about, right? That is, can we sell something to the same clients? Can we build upon our own trust we've established when he moves from Ford to Chrysler? Can we build upon the trust of others, of other people? Can we build? You mentioned earlier, so I was thinking the build of other people, client referrals, right? So I was doing something with one of my other clients and about client referrals, which was, part of the reasons, their stats are that people will give you referrals, just never ask me. I don't know how to do it, that kind of stuff, right? So part of our job is to teach clients how to give you referrals, right? And then what the best kind of referrals are. There's also a industry stat that says, well, I've given your number out, Dave, like 5 times. I guess I never called you. But in my mind, I gave you the referral because I gave out your number. So going back to teach your clients how to refer. So you have a book, you have a white paper, you have a lead magnet. You're the copywriter of the lead magnet. But now we teach the client, hey, so if you have any neighbors that are talking about hail damage, here's now we don't call it a lead magnet, but you and I call it a lead magnet. Please let me know and send them a copy of how to inspect your roof for hail damage, right? And copy me on the email. Right. And so now we're teaching them. There's a discussion that's going to happen. You hear a neighbor talking about hail damage. We've got a lead magnet that says whatever, everything you should know about about hail damage. It's in an email format. I wrote it up for you. Dave, just forward it off to your neighbor who talks about hail damage.
Well, technically, referrals are simply testimonials repackaged.
Borrowing their trust.
Yeah, I mean, it's a repackaged testimonial, and there's nothing that can take somebody from a cold prospect to a warm market faster than trust. And the fastest way to do that is testimony of somebody that they know. I don't believe there's a faster way you can bridge that gap other than with testimony of somebody they know. So if it's a neighbor, a friend, a business associate, one of the things we used to have a referring agent program in a manufacturing company, and we had 2 types of referring agents. We had A, you pick up the phone and physically call somebody on my behalf, or B, you walk me in the front door with me, and we'll give you 2 different types of referring agent fees based upon how, which one works. Right. If the customer buys. But I mean, sometimes we're selling a $500,000 system, and the referring agent knew that. I say referring agent, I'm talking about a physical customer who owns a business, a president of a multi-million-dollar company who would say, hey, would you go introduce me to Steve? And they would, in a lot of cases, they'd say yes. Well, think of the trust you have to get somebody to get in their car, go introduce you to Steve, and then the 3 you're going to go to lunch together. And what do you think your odds of getting a sale go way up when you're out with Steve's buddy? And so we knew that as part of our referring agent program, that if we could get personal one-on-one time and create a trio, then you could remove Steve from the equation. And now we got this. I mean, now you got that bridge of trust that happens. So a testimonial is the most powerful thing to take a cold client to a warm client. So,
well, it's funny. So I'm jumping on top of that same thing. So there's some industry research that talks about the top 2 reasons people hire you, and it's pretty consistent whether you're whatever business you're in. But the 2 answers are because you have experience with dealing with people like me, and you're familiar with my situation, right? So you could even build that. Go back to our roofing example. I've got experience. I'm experienced. Your house is 20 years old. There's a likelihood there's some sort of hail damage. We do this all the time for people like you. We do this all the time. Hey, there was a hailstorm. We do this all the time. There's now a 75% chance your roof has hail damage, right? But the language you use, your big language being the copywriter, which is just by acknowledging, and those are the 2 reasons people hire me, because of course they know, like, and trust you, but they know that I have experience dealing with people like them in their situation.
Yes.
Right? And use that language back to them, gains their trust.
Yes. And that didn't remember the old days. I think it was Brian Tracy talked about mirroring.
Yeah.
You sit forward. If your client sits back, you sit back. I mean,
right.
That's kind of the old school. I mean, there is a lot of subliminal stuff that goes on. But again, I believe back then people were selling more than they were marketing. And if you're good at marketing, you don't have to sell.
You don't have to sell. That's right.
You create a methodology for people to buy.
We had this conversation last week with one of my other guys, and it was, let's make it that it's the biggest no-brainer in the world to do business with you. They would be a fool not to do business with you, right? And go back to, like we said before, if you gave them a wow experience, they'd be a fool not to do business with you. If you gave them a wow experience, they'd be a fool not to take a referral that you gave them, right? But like you said, the car dealership with your daughter, you'd be a fool not to use that person because they're trustworthy.
Precisely.
Right? So let's make it no-brainers by using the right trust and the right language to make it a no-brainer to do business with me. That's marketing. Let's make it so obvious and so blatant that you should ask to do business with me. You should want to do business with me. It's a no-brainer. You'd be foolish not to. That's the goal of marketing.
And on that note, I think we covered a lot today.
We covered a lot. So what we learned, how great marketing works, what we learned from the late Lee Iacocca. We took it down many paths, but we stayed pretty consistent, it's all about marketing.
It's all about marketing, and it's what I think works best. I do.
All right, man, where can we find you?
Find me at davidmulvaney.com, LinkedIn, David Mulvaney. And how about you, Matt?
Good stuff. So 10xprofitblueprint.com, 10xprofitblueprint.com, and then I'm Matt Hudgins over at LinkedIn. Got some articles I put on there.
All right, Matt.
All right, man.
We'll talk soon.
Good to be back.
All right, good to have you back. Take care.